who are doing the jobs, and then they come out with sound bites like, oh, teachers and nurses, you can identify people who are at risk, and if not, you'll be accountable. It's disgraceful. This is why the government is not fit for purpose anymore.
Well, OK, look, let me respond.
I'm afraid not a great look. I have to let the rest of them
Let me respond. It is absolutely because we do think that the people who are in your position doing the work that you do have a huge amount to contribute to this, that we are saying what we're saying. It could have been open to us, couldn't it, to have said, look, knife crime, law and order problem, toughen up the sentences, give the police more powers, make sure that they get a lot longer inside. But we've said, look, this is a lot more complicated than that. This is about what happens in school and out of school. It's what happens in all of the circumstances that apply just after the school day, particularly. All of those things that you have talked about, we agree. And that's exactly why we're suggesting that this is something that could be seen as a much broader problem than a law enforcement one. So, that's the point. I don't think we're disagreeing.
He increased the budget for early intervention services, and then he took, I think it was like £4 million out of that budget.
No,
you're saying
there's a 200 million.
Laughable.
There's a 200 million pound.
Laughable.
200 million pound fund that the Home Secretary has set up in order to do precisely the kind of work
and quietly
that you're
talking
about.
I need to hear. This is a sticking plaster. This is something that goes on after we're in a catastrophic situation. So you can't say we agree, we agree, we agree, if you are not being honest about all of the things the government has done up to now to cause the problems that we have, and then stick something on the top.
David
That's not honest.
We've got the biggest crisis of youth violence and knife crime since 1946. It's desperate. And I've sat with too many parents who have lost their children. We need cross-party consensus, and we absolutely need resources. There is a demand for cocaine that's soaring, and poor children are trafficking drugs across the country. Why the government cut the border force? You do need youth workers. You do need people working with young people after school, cut by 50%. Of course, on our housing estates across the country, you need visible neighborhood policing that know those young people. Anyone who's got a child with special educational needs or a mental health problem, look at the queues and the wait for support from CAMS, the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. All parents are struggling with social media. Where is the regulation and the support coming from the government? We're still waiting for the announcement of the strategy from your department, Jeremy. From your department. So we've got now many, many issues coming together. There is no silver bullet, but my God, this is going to need resources. It's going to need effort. Do not blame the teachers, nurses, and doctors that are on the front line of this epidemic that was created here in the United Kingdom.
Thank you.
I quite agree with, I think, what's coming from the original question and from the lady who is a teacher, that the idea of making teachers legally accountable for doing what is proposed is absolutely monstrous, because it's putting a sort of blame on them. But what I do also think is important, I want to look at the question in a slightly different way. What's going on? Who is being killed and by whom? Ash raised the question of Glasgow and the example of Glasgow. What we're dealing with in this situation is not actually what used to happen much more in Glasgow, which tended to be, for example,